Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, I have my canvas on a turntable and I'm actually using a different kind of medium. I've got some modelling paste. So, I'm going to do a creation with the modelling paste and we're going to go through this step by step. I am using an embroidery hoop, so it's something totally different and new. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's see what we can create. So I'm going to place the embroidery hoop in the middle of the canvas, and I'm then going to use my palette knife and the modelling paste. Now, I've not really used modelling paste much in the past, and I think maybe I should have done a smaller canvas, but you know what? I'm just going to go for it. In fact, as I start to use the modelling paste and use my palette knife and spread that paste on the surface area of the canvas, it's almost like icing a cake. Now, I've done plenty of those in the past, so maybe I do have enough experience to go big with this one. The idea is to place the modelling paste around the outer edge of the embroidery hoop. I want a solid circle in the middle, but I want to use the paste and almost create some depth and some texture going towards the outer edge. But I don't want to really completely fill this canvas with the modelling paste. My intention is to just slowly bring that paste from the centre to the outer edge, but by doing different swipes. And it's those swipes where I want to create that depth and that texture to this piece. As I'm building up the layers, so I have a solid layer that touches that embroidery hoop, I'm then looking at bringing those layers towards the outer edge. So it's about flattening the paste a little bit more, stretching that paste by adding a little bit more pressure. So as I'm turning the canvas and using my palette knife, I'm spreading the paste out, but less thick. So I'm doing a thicker layer in the middle, so where that paste touches that embroidery hoop, and then I'm doing thinner layers as we work more towards the outer edge, and you'll see this take form as we go. This part of the process is very much about using the volume of the modelling paste I've already got on the canvas, and it's then about spreading it out, and as I turn, I'm bringing the palette knife more towards the outer edge. This is when I'm starting to create the thinner layers of paste. So you'll see here, as I'm turning, I'm dragging that paste further out towards the outer edge. But as I go, ensuring that I've got more of a rough surface area within that paste. I want to build it up a little bit more. I want some more of this texture. So I'm just going to do another circle of paste, and then I'm going to stretch it out even more towards the outer edge. Using the turntable is great because it allows me to turn the canvas and use my palette knife to create a consistent layer. I'm now removing the embroidery hoop. I'm just slowly picking it up from the canvas, and I'm glad I've got a clean circle in the middle. So the texture that I did is now dry. Let me show you. It's quite a large piece. I hope you can see it, but you can see some texture around here. And I've kind of pondered because I don't want to ruin it. And as an artist, you're always worried that, are you going to go and do something wrong? Well, the answer is no, because I think if you allow your creativity just to flow and explore, then you're going to learn stuff anyway. But when I did this texture piece, I kind of wish that I'd already done a background to it, because I've got that dilemma of wanting to fill the inner circle with a colour and also the outer area. But then I'm thinking I want to keep this texture bit white, but blend it with some colours. So I want to show you as it is now. I'm going to take you in just so you can see a close-up, but what I'm thinking is working with some blues. I love blues. Blues is a colour palette that I love to go to. So yeah, I really wish I could see what I was going to create to see if it was worth the risk of painting over this. So I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to do some brushwork. I'm going to blend in some colours. But the idea is to have a colour in the centre. I think I'm going to keep this texture section white, but I do need to paint over it in white because that's just the medium that I've used and it's not mixed with any colour. So yeah, I'm going to see what I'm going to do, but I'm excited that you're here to go through that process with me. So I'm going to do some brushwork. Let's see what we can do. So now it's fully dry, just a little close up of that texture. You can see more of it here. So the texture that you can see, I just used a modelling paste, but I didn't mix it with anything. So I do want to go over the modelling paste area in white, but I think I want to blend that with a series of blues. And I've got a couple of titanium white and zinc white, but I've picked up some blue tones. So I think they're the blue tones that I'm going to use on this. So you can see the texture. I'm going to just go for it, guys. So to help with that fluidity of paint on the surface area, you'll see that I'm just using a little bit of water. I've sprayed some water on the canvas and I've just brushed that water over that area. So now it's about using the blues to create this piece. I'm going to start in the centre, and then I'm going to build the layers, build those textures, and build that depth by using different tones of blue throughout this piece. I wanted the centre to be quite bold, so I've just used one colour of the blue in that centre. I'm now painting with white that texture that's already dry. So I'm just going to use my white paint to go around all that texture before I continue with the other blues on the outer edge. I am going to use one blue colour at a time and then build upon that base. So I'm going to start off with this one and then build on top. And you'll see how I'm just using strikes of paint, the paintbrush, in lines when I'm putting the base colour down. I'm just trying to create that texture, that movement across this piece. So I'm doing short, sharp bursts of the paintbrush going round those edges, and you'll see how this builds up one colour at a time. I'm adding a darker colour going into that edge where that paste is. That's because I really want to create that depth to this piece. It's all about blending those tones in together. I don't just want one sharp colour like I've got in the middle. I want different tones of blue on that outer edge because I want this to really create some movement within this piece. I am so happy with how this piece is looking, and I think it's about time to stop with this creation. And that's sometimes the balance. It's about thinking when to stop or do I carry on. But I've definitely got what I had the vision in my mind down on canvas. So I want to take you in now for a closer look. But have a look at how that texture, that modelling paste right at the beginning, creates those lines within that white area. And then I've used the paintbrush with the blues on the outer edge to create that depth and that movement, to continue that movement across this piece. I'm of course going to let this to dry fully, and I'll take you in for a close-up of the fully dry version. So here we go, it's fully dry. I haven't yet varnished this piece. Whenever I sell a piece, I always do a gloss varnish over the top. I use a spray varnish. I always find using a spray varnish helps me to create a consistent coverage and layer of varnish on top without any brush strokes. But it wouldn't really matter with this piece, because actually brush strokes might be quite cool because of the texture that we've added into this piece. A big thank you for sticking with me through this video. I hope you've had fun, I hope you've learned something, and I hope I've inspired you too to go and get some modelling paste and create some texture on top of your pieces. I hope I get to see you again in the next video. Have a great week everyone, and I'll see you soon. Take care, bye.